Hello, this is Michael, and welcome to week 5. Last week was a really an interesting exploration. You guys worked very hard in getting to understand something that maybe you were vaguely familiar with or had worked with before in the past. But my goal this week, last week, was to really begin to create some structures that you're going to use later. As you may or may not have noticed, there's a lot of repetition. Lots of repetition. You look right now, you're looking at a database. Each one of those repeats, could repeat on forever. But those structures, what's in the columns, what does that mean relative to each other was your goal for this week. You were supposed to put these into HTML, which is a great language. Many of you didn't know, not only just to um, say what things are, because you can call things sort of, you have to figure out what they are. Are they a header? Are they a piece of a detail? Are they a description? Or a picture? So that it's really a chance to use a controlled language to describe your content. And now you've actually moved forward and created something that we'll call information. This is information. You might not like the way it looks. And a short aside, one thing about HTML was it wasn't possible using HTML to put one thing next to something else, arraying something, unless you put it into a table. So if you were around in the early days, everything was done with a table structure because there wasn't really, HTML was meant to mark up content. It wasn't really meant to design a page. Now, I would say that is still true, although there were these new structural elements added in HTML5 that I wanted you to use because they could, in fact, indicate that something was not part of the flow, so to speak. It was aside, or it was next to, or it was above or below. It was really more of a semantic way to describe things that could, in a sense, be designed. But we haven't gotten there yet, and we're not actually interested yet in what things look like. So just to let you know, if you did put that out on the web, every search engine would know exactly what your content was about because it could understand it. A human might not be able to, but we're not quite interested in humans yet. So this week, and by the way, I really did enjoy, I thought there was some great comments this week about why this sort of atomic or structural approach was appropriate for this class and appropriate for you, because I know it was not necessarily a struggle, but it wasn't easy to understand how to use these tags. And I think many people looked at for rules about how tags were meant to be used. And I will say that there really, for the most part, aren't any rules of how you use HTML. You just have to use it consistently and hopefully, again, semantically, so that you could tell a story to someone else, a developer perhaps, and say, here's structurally what we've got to work with. So again, lots of great exploration. Really appreciate that. I can look through here at some of the, I think I've graded most of your entries so far. And as I said, I think this format worked well. If you have any comments about how we approached it, the reason why we use these names, these column names, is that it kind of got you used to the fact that these are describing this. So this is the thing, this is describing this. So all I really was looking for is you've got the right kind of words here that describe what you're doing. And I really do hope that people did not look at the rendering, because that will take you down a very, very confusing road. So this week, we're going to take a higher level look at how do we organize all of our records into something useful. And a lot of times, and that this is another way that has arisen historically, which is called a taxonomy. How do you have a controlled language that talks about many, many, many thousands or millions of things so that it doesn't get overwhelming? So again, it's not about everything being unique. It's about, hey, this is all related to this word or this concept. And so what are those words and how do you come up with them? So I don't know about your content individually. I know them in a sense, but we are trying to figure out really some inputs to how we would navigate through large amounts of your content by using these words. So if you're thinking when we're talking about navigation, we are, but we have to figure out what could that navigation possibly be. So there's some exercises here, as well as some readings. I'm not sure if everyone was reading the post last week by Daniel Mall or anything about the atomic design theories. Those were there and really actually could have given you some more theory. They're really great articles. And so just to let you know, do start with the module in Canvas, read that first. But there are some extra things here that can help orient you towards some of the topics. These are a little bit more up to date, or I can change them if I wish. So we're talking about how do you structure things. So really this week it's about thinking about it as well as posting some ideas of the kind of words that you would use in order to help people understand what the scope of your content contained. So it should be a pretty good week. We're going to move forward with a project that's going to be a several week project so that you can remember that the two things that you've created so far, the data and the structure, will be used again as we begin to move forward and make more design-oriented things, more things that visualizing things. But this is still this week is still about words. So, and I'm calling them nouns. So these are nouns. Nouns are the things that are sort of the structure, and then next week we'll do the verbs. So, any questions, let me know, and good luck this week.